Well, it's going to be a big weekend in store for rugby in Canada as Canada is set to take on host team England for the Women's Rugby World Cup.
So joining us live this morning to tee up what could be an historic event is TSN's rugby analyst, Magali Harvey. Thanks for joining us this morning to talk about this. You know, Canada's been here before, the women's team 11 years ago, so it's a completely different time this time out. What do you like about this team? I mean, beating the All Blacks in the semifinals, that shows what this team has.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. What do I like about this team? So many things, but I think what's very different from other teams is their fluidity. I think that Canada is playing a style of rugby that has never been played before. And how I mean is every player from every position has a green card to play whatever you see in front of them. Classically, your position dictates what you will be playing. Canada, any player can be scrum half, any player can take it in, and they're just very good at playing a very fast rugby because anyone does whatever they see in front of them.
And Magali, from your perspective, how important and significant was that recent semi-final victory from Canada over New Zealand to reach the finals of the Women's Rugby World Cup?
It was extremely important. Canada has not often been in the finals. And New Zealand, I mean, they are a franchise. They are a huge team, have a huge reputation. What's interesting is that all the odds were against Canada. I think we had a 17% chance of winning. But if you see how Canada has been playing, any rugby fanatic that has been following rugby, the Canadian rugby, will notice that they've reinvented a new style of rugby. And that's based on a coach taking a little bit more initiative, while the other teams have stuck to their ways with incredible athletes that stick to what their role on the field is. So it's interesting. I predict it's going to change some of the rugby in the world.
Yeah, it's impressive to see Canada having that kind of an impact. And of course, you know, odds against them in the semis, odds likely against them in the finals. England obviously has a very strong team playing on home field as well here. But this Canadian women's team just seems to have so much heart. And like you said, this disruptive play. What do you make of the chances coming into England now?
If Canada plays the way that they played against New Zealand, that's a fast-paced rugby that anyone feels comfortable to do anything. And like, let me give you a bit of a context. So Canada's lineup is based on 6 substitutes forward and only 2 substitute backs. Why is this important? Because usually your forwards tire out more than the backs. And because Canada banks on doing a fast tempo game the whole game, then they heavily rely on having 6 substitutes. Usually you have 4, maybe 5 max substitutes of forward. But Canada's like, no, we'll just clear your entire front row, bring it fresh so that you can keep going fast, and teams can't keep up. So New Zealand, for instance, have had so many penalties because they were not able to keep up with the fast pace that Canada was putting forward.
Wow.
Yeah. Magali, on a more personal note, you announced your retirement for rugby at age 34. How has the sport changed since you started playing, especially in terms of recognition, support, and infrastructure for women's rugby?
I think a lot has changed. The main thing that has changed is that professional leagues and semi-professional leagues have started to happen. So if you look at the Canadian journey, in the past, we were very athletic, but sometimes we did not have the rugby IQ needed to move forward. It was through athleticism. Right now, our Canadian players sacrifice by going to play overseas. They're either in England or in France mostly, and they're playing against the highest. Anyone who wants to play at the highest level rugby will find themselves in England. And once you're in England, you get used to playing against the English team, the Scottish team, the Wales players, the Italians. So you kind of get great exposure and you increase your rugby IQ. This has made a huge difference because now you have smart rugby players that are extremely athletic and extremely fit and so willing to do the necessary sacrifices to represent Canada.
Nice.
Yeah, it certainly gives us a competitive edge. TSN's rugby analyst, Magali Harvey, thanks so much for joining us. We're all rooting for our female rugby players coming up at the World Cup final.
Amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go Canada. 24 hours away almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks so much for that.